So I started Teledipity 11 years ago, and back then I have a job. This is a passion. I knew enough about technology to understand that I could get most of what I wanted in a numerology app by just building it on WordPress. So I had like $300 saved, and I hired a software developer in Thailand. This was pre our Brazilian connection, so that's probably the only non-Brazilian developer in the history of the company. And we get the site live, and it goes out. The date was June 30. No, July 30. July 30, not June 30. July 30, 2015. And the way I was promoting the site back then, other than just emailing everybody I knew, I literally exported my Google contacts and sent everybody an email, whether or not they were interested in numerology or whether or not they knew me well. But apart from that, what I did is I had a Twitter account, and back then it was very easy to use bots on Twitter, and it was really easy to just get seen on Twitter because there's a lot of like, it was the earlier days, and some of the guardrails that they have right now didn't exist before, because in 2015, like all the fake news stuff and everything else, it hadn't really started, or was just getting started. But anyway, so what I did was I set a bot for the Teledipity account to follow people who followed authors or books or sites that I liked that were kind of around the same topic. So it was just finding people, following them, and then just publishing like quotes and stuff, and then announcing the product launch. So I think in like a month, it got like 3,000 followers on Twitter. And one of the people who found Teledipity through that initiative was in Porto Alegre. And she started recommending it to her group of friends. And then 3 years later, 70% of Teledipity's traffic was Brazilian, because it just got spread word of mouth in Brazil. And I'd never been to Brazil at the time, but I started seeing that, and I started engaging with a lot of users in Brazil. And then one of the people who emailed me was a software developer. And then when I finally had the budget to build a mobile app, which was my plan from the very beginning, I got quotes from a bunch of different places, but the Brazilian guy, Daniel, and his company, they were the right fit. So I basically moved to Porto Alegre for 3 months while we were building the app. And while I was in Porto Alegre, I was giving a lot of live readings, just readings in person to people all over the city. Because I announced that I was there, I had a little party, and then just like people would buy readings for me. And that was maybe 6 months after I started giving readings. So I was still learning. I knew numerology, but giving readings is a different skill, and I was still finding my voice and my approach to readings. But anyway, about 2 weeks in that 3-month period, we went from Porto Alegre to Florianopolis, and we were based in Florianopolis. A lot of the app was built in Florianopolis. And I went back from that trip just understanding that for whatever reason, the vision I was seeing for this app and this company was understood by Brazilians in a way that it wasn't understood by Mexicans or Americans or Europeans. Like, I don't know if it was ahead of its time. I think that's part of it. And also just I think the kind of company I always wanted to build, it's in a weird spot because it is a numerology app. It is kind of a horoscope app, but it's not really. Like, there's a lot of book recommendations and philosophy and like just combination of a lot of different things. You can't really pinpoint what it is. And Brazilian brains, or the brains of Brazilians, the brains of Brazilians just understand that. And I think Brazilians live in the future in many ways. When you look at the chart of Brazil, Brazil is an 11 country. And I talked a lot about 11s in previous streams. 11s, people say it's psychic ability. I understand a little bit different. And 11 channels visions of innovation from somewhere else. So 11s tend to be spiritual, maybe not necessarily religious, but spiritual in the sense that they live ahead of their time, and they see where things are headed and where the future is going, and they understand it really well. So they're always just ahead of the curve. Brazil is a country. That's what it is. It's not only an immensely spiritual country, and it's a country where, whether or not you're religious, most people have a spiritual mind and think of things in spiritual ways. What, like, regardless of their level of engagement, I think culturally, it's just more prevalent in a way that isn't in other countries. And secondly, they tend to be early adopters of technologies and of products and of innovations because of the same thing. So there's only two, maybe not, because I haven't checked the numerology of every single country, but I've seen them for most important countries or large enough countries. There's only two countries that are 11s: Brazil and India. When you think about, of course, they're very different, but when you think about what they have in common, you can see what the influence of the 11 on an entire country is. Immensely spiritual, immensely generous, and immensely creative. And the differences between India and Brazil have a lot to do with other parts of their charts, but that's what they have in common. They're the world's spiritual countries in many ways. So, of course, that entire experience led me to be closer to Brazil, to learn Portuguese. I've done readings in Portuguese a lot. I don't really want to do that on the stream because I want the stream to be able to be watched by everybody. Maybe if and when it gets bigger, I can do like parts of it that are in Portuguese. But yeah, it's because of that experience that that I stayed very close to Brazil, learned Portuguese, have made tons of friends through the app all over the country, and listen to Brazilians a lot about Teledipity. And even though I want Teledipity to be borderless, I owe the beginning of my journey to Brazil in many ways. And second, and I'm immensely grateful for it. There were pieces that I wrote back then, just like love letters to Brazil, where I said like I'm such a weirdo because I have all these different passions and I try to squeeze them all into my weird app, my weird niche app, and the only people who understand what I'm doing is Brazil or Brazilians. So yeah, I wouldn't just say that Teledipity is Brazilian in spirit. I would say that Teledipity is very. I think it's Brazilian in spirit. Actually, I don't want to localize it, but there's, from the very beginning, the strongest regions have been Santa Catarina and Rio Grande do Sul. So Porto Alegre and Florianopolis have been on Teledipity for over a decade now, and it's fascinating. Thank you. I love your app so much. I'm American. Absolutely. Like I made Teledipity to be borderless, and I think if anything, like I think there's people anywhere that can understand just what I'm trying to do with Teledipity and how I'm trying to position it. It's just that those people seem to be a majority in Brazil, whereas in other countries they're more of like a niche community or a minority. But of course, there's people like us everywhere in every country. So absolutely.
A few moments later.
How are you?
Hi.
How's it going?
Sure.
Mari is patient zero. She's the first
Talk
user
about
in all of
serendipity.
Brazil. The first user in all of Brazil that that just made Teledipity viral in Brazil. It was Mari. And I was just talking about you this morning. I was just telling the story. Yeah. Sometimes, like, I don't know, the universe just works in mysterious ways or just knows like everything. But like, I mean, I've told you before, but I always think the craziest part of the Teledipity story is how instrumental you were to all of it. And like, it was just like a stupid initiative I was doing to kind of like launch the product on Twitter, and me ending up following you by accident. And then like, it's not just that you were one of the very earliest users of Teledipity and recommended it to your friends. It's also that a lot of your friend group and social network has helped me over the years in a lot of different things. Some of them building the app, some of them just in my own personal evolution, some of even outside of your friend group, the amount of people from Porto Alegre that have played important roles is massive. And
But
like the fact that it was
it's
just
because you
you, like,
write you write well, you make good content, you made a good product,
thank
and
you.
then people want to talk about it. I was lucky that I jumped on the bandwagon
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
before it was like huge in Brazil, but in reality, like, you just have really, you have a really good product, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Like a couple months, every couple months, I will run into somebody. I was like, "Have you looked at your Teledipity?"
I still I still feel gratitude to you. And
Oh, I love you so
I
much.
still I still think that for me it's a reminder of how much power we have to support people who are starting out. And just the littlest thing, it's just like recommending something you like. When it comes to somebody who has something, who creates something, who wants to start something, like those are the most powerful things you can do. And it's almost like it's the littlest thing. And sometimes, like, because maybe we forget, because I'm not necessarily the person that recommends things if I'm not asked. Like, if somebody says like, "Hey, do you have something for this?" Like, I'll be, "Oh yeah, do this, do this, do this." But I'm not necessarily doing it organically. And I think we should all do more of that. So I appreciate your message, but I'm gonna send it right back to you and say, like, it was still meaningful what you did, and I'm so grateful to you. And like it's still crazy. Not just like it's one thing that you were early and you told a friend about it. It's another about um how much the people connected to you have helped me too. You have a great energy, and you are close to a lot of great people.
Yeah,
And
that is
in
true. I
Porto
got
Alegre, and then
I
Brazil,
hit the
yeah,
jackpot.
yeah, Brazil, but Porto Alegre has so many amazing people. It's like there must be some sort of vortex of energy there, because like, yeah, all of Brazil,
The
but also
land
Porto Alegre and Santa Catarina, and that zone, that area. Yeah,
the
yeah,
land is wise.
yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
hope
yeah.
you can come and see my new place.
I want to
I
go
have
back.
a
Yeah,
spare bedroom for you if you ever want to, like,
no,
take a trip to Garopaba.
I'm coming back. I have to go back, especially I have to catch up with a lot of people. So I will. I have to figure out when it makes sense. I don't think I'm traveling a lot the rest of this year, but I will. I'll come back within the next 12 months. I'll be back. I'll be back. Godspeed from Andres Gabelic at Teledipity. If this video made a difference for you, help me back by liking, sharing, subscribing to the channel, adding a small comment, and checking out my app Teledipity if you haven't. It was basically built to remind you every day of your crazy dreams and the reasons why you should never forget them.